Welcome to a Company of Heroes 2v2. Here we have, playing on the Axis side, Brandon and Miles, and playing for the Americans, we have MisterEasy. Playing for the Soviets, we have Delcore. So this map, some of you may recognize, is the old Company of Heroes 1 map. There used to be a glider right about over here on the map.
Back when the British were still a faction.
Back when the British were still a faction, actually the glider and the map itself was older than the British faction. Fun fact.
But
anyway,
either way,
Brandon here is actually quickly going for this victory point in the field here, and he's moving the truck directly behind that because he wants to deploy an HQ here, evidently.
it's good to see some mix-up in this composition, because this is going to make for some interesting conflict. Or Commando West will be able to match up with the Americans, while the Soviets will be able to match up with the Wehrmacht. Is going to be even unless we account for skill, which we definitely need to, because both Miles and Delcore are very skilled players.
I do like how we have the sides distributed: Eastern Front and Western Front. It's good. But in any case, this particular building, I've always said this, but this particular building that Brandon here has occupied on his flank is extremely important. Not so much for Storm Pioneers, but for machine guns and long-range units and that sort of thing. This building has 360 coverage of this entire area. It can cover this neutral point, it can cover this fuel point, and it can cover this victory point. So, you know, from that point of view, it's important to remember that this building is amazing for that. Even still, Storm Pioneers do not make good garrison infantry because, again, more often than not, with Storm Pioneers, you have to get close to your enemy, not really far away, as is the case here. Miles is coming in to assist his ally here with some longer-range grenadier.
Possibly the purpose of that Storm Pioneer was to make it known, put an obstacle in the path of the Allied advance.
Well, I think this building here was occupied primarily because he did not want the Americans or the Soviets to put a machine gun of their own there.
Exactly. That would be disastrous because there's no real safe approach to this building.
Meanwhile, the left flank has been pretty much taken entirely by the Soviets with little resistance from Miles. But as long as they control the right side and the middle, they should win the day. Still, doubling down on one point together is an interesting strategy because it allows you to almost certainly win the engagement so long as you work together. Kubawagen coming in here to suppress these groups of units.
Although for some reason they're not capturing the victory point.
I don't think they, at this point, need to. Right now they're more focused on inflicting damage onto their enemy and capturing resources. At this stage, both sides have 500 victory points, and capturing the victory points themselves are, I think, a secondary concern. A lot of damage done to these riflemen.
A lot of damage done to the Americans here.
And they are forced to rout. Miles has a machine gun of his own here. If I were him, I would put it in this building here, considering the squad there is very injured and needs to be reinforced. But it looks like Miles is going to go for a more aggressive approach and try to move his machine gun into one of these buildings.
If anything, the left flank would need that machine gun because Delcore's about to swoop in behind that victory point and have a nice
it looks like this
zone.
building was occupied by the Americans before Miles had the chance to do it. Now he needs to move his machine gun away, yeah. It's kind of a big loss there. He went for a risky maneuver here.
Ouch.
Would have been better to just put the machine gun there, but... Oh, it looks like instead of retreating, he's actually deploying the machine gun in another building. That is a risky move, considering that machine gun is very low on health.
And it's really bad because look at what's coming. That is assault engineers. That is really bad for that machine gun, especially if they go they're right next to the building, which they will. Oh, that machine gun's gonna die.
And the machine gun is dead.
At the cost of barely one assault engineer.
Yeah, you might be a little bit slow, Sasha. Speed up the stream a little bit.
Yeah, hit times 8.
Oops,
so now the Germans are going to need to pull back from their prior gains.
Yeah, but these grenadiers here are actually doing a pretty good job engaging these rear echelons, but these buildings are very dangerous to engage because, again, this is green cover, and these guys don't have any cover whatsoever here.
Yeah.
Miles has another machine gun here.
Although this is a smart move, you know, narrowing down the front that you need to focus on. Although Delcore is here taking the second victory point, he needs to watch out because he might end up spreading himself a bit
This machine gun that Miles has is being flanked by those conscripts on the side there. I think the Allies here are using cover very effectively, using the buildings, using cover, really pincering in these units. Still no machine gun in this building that I am so used to seeing when I play these games, but Looks like these Volksgrenadiers are going to engage these conscripts at point-blank range.
And they're not having that much luck because the Cooper wagon cannot effectively. Oh, there went down the grenade.
It can suppress. Obviously, it can suppress units in heavy cover, but it takes a lot longer. They take a lot less suppression points. Molotov coming in, I think.
Oh,
yep, these units retreat.
Both of them retreat, but the Soviets got the worst end of it.
I'm actually rooting for Miles this time.
And
see, from the way it's looking right now, the Soviets, the Allies, and the Germans seem to be almost matched up in terms of army strength, but now the Germans just took a head advantage.
Yep. The Kubelwagen is critically important here because they don't have an effective way of suppressing right now. Yes, Miles puts the machine into this building. I'm very happy to see that because this building, as I said, very important for it. It provides good cover, and they should be able to suppress these conscripts very well here in a moment. Delcore's Molotov is still on cooldown, so he elects to retreat instead. Miles
Probably
has another
a good
machine
idea.
gun. He has another machine gun here covering this approach. Now, if I were those two, if I were the Axis here, I would move towards this victory point and these two munitions point because take a look at the munitions income of the Russians here, Russians and Americans. They're a lot higher.
Yeah, because that means they'll be able to call in more of these artillery abilities, more of these, unless they are smart enough and able to take away those middle victory points. But you can't just focus on that because the fact that this left flank is completely open means that it means that the Allies can just go in and base throttle them to death.
Yep. Looks like this machine gun was smoked by these riflemen here. One other thing to keep in mind is the fact that despite the fact that these Axis players are holding very well here, they need to do more than just hold because they need this victory point over there.
The Americans are taking advantage of the smoke to move up their assault engineers with flamethrowers, but they're staying at too long a distance.
And the smoke, is gone. It's gone.
Oh.
These units at point-blank range basically are being engaged very effectively by the machine gun.
They're being wiped out by this. Oh, but that flamethrower got annihilated by that grenade.
And Brandon brought in a flak half-track now to do a
Oh,
lot of damage.
This early game, that is really dangerous. They can basically shove the Allies off this right flank entirely. And now they're going for the victory point in the middle.
That is, of course, assuming they take advantage of the fact that they have this unit here. If it just stays here in defense, then the Allied players just simply won't engage, build up AT that they need, and move in later. But it looks like they are taking advantage of this area, which is good.
And they're taking advantage of the flak panzer because, but here comes a big push. 2 squads of conscripts, squad of rear echelons.
I wouldn't necessarily call that a really big push. I'd say that's a moderately sized force here. If used effectively, it can take this area out. But of course, the flak half track, if it moves over there, we'll be able to take care of both of them in pretty much no time at all. Do the conscripts have? Yes, the conscripts do have AT grenades. They just don't have the munitions for them right now. One funny thing I noticed is the munitions for Delcore and MisterEasy are neck and neck right now. Look, 22 with the same income as well.
The flak comes in, starts setting up, and is deployed. Starting to push these guys back. Oh, but they need to watch out for this
There's an AT gun moving in there, yeah.
Oh dear, it's set up. It's about to do some really nasty hit. Some really nasty. Oh,
one hit, it needs to move away right now. Another hit will likely kill.
More likely than not.
Oh no! You're still in danger. You're still in danger if you're there. Looks like he wants to be very aggressive with this half track here, pulling it back.
He's moving up the Volksgrenadiers. Maybe he might get. At least it's just been abandoned.
They can still reman it, but the Soviet player, if he knows that it's abandoned, will continue to fire at it. It looks like that's exactly what he's trying to do.
This is it. Enemy Flammgruppe.
Yeah, he's moving in. He's moving
everything up.
Directly on top.
Either that or the Americans are going to try to occupy it, but he won't really be able to because he's being suppressed heavy right now. 2 machine guns bearing down on him, and the Sturmpanzers. Main gun destroyed on that abandoned flak truck. Sturmpanzers.
Not that particularly matters. Well, now it matters because it's completely destroyed.
A big advantage for the Germans is gone now.
But although Miles now has a mortar on the field, I like to see mortars, primarily because this is a very passive game, it seems. Like, a lot of the players are electing to kind of defend, build passive units like machine guns and AT guns, so that's a pretty effective...
They lose a truck there. That's not the best of things to do, just sending in a truck, because it takes a while for one to come in, and you could be doing better things with that truck, like, for instance, setting it up behind that wall near the victory point,
Well, the fact of the matter is, those trucks cost fuel to deploy, and perhaps if the player doesn't have any fuel at the time, it's not really a big loss if he
Miles
to
comes in,
deploy a truck
nasty
in
damage those conscripts they pull
a
back.
lot of smoke.
Delcore Delcore realizes the danger to his AT gun, pulls out. There's still some mortar rounds coming in. He sends in his own flamethrower squad. But the Grenadiers now have a machine gun.
One shock troop is killed before it has the opportunity to retreat. But yeah, there is a lot of machine gun fire coming in on these guys here. Pioneers
that
with
Kubo wagon's
flamethrowers are
almost
moving
down.
in. Looks like, will they be able to take out this AT gun here?
Possibly.
No, I don't think so. No. It's moving back and it's being
although they
covered by
may
that
be able to snag a lieutenant, which is some really heavy firepower this early in the game for the Americans. They need to pull this guy out soon. Oh no, now I see why they didn't. Grenade! Oh, now there's only one Pioneer left. Will he get away? Will he get away? Oh,
yeah, he gets away.
Barely. You never know in those kinds of situations.
You know what, Hack? You should get a soundboard.
By the way, I have
No, like... What I mean, one of us
and
that go like...
there goes the Molotov down on that mortar. It's gonna get out, but with some damage done to it. Pulling out the mortar entirely is not the best of moves. Delcore doesn't all the way retreat these conscripts, which is really smart because he can still get this victory point slightly uncapped. There's a big
this victory point here is being decimated by the Axis.
Dominated by the Axis.
That conscript's gonna die. He's gonna go down. Oh yeah,
there we are.
He goes down.
That's a nasty way to go down, getting shot in the back. Got an AT gun going down there. We need to watch out for this flamethrower. Stay at a distance like that.
Yep. The map is pretty much divided half and half right now.